Hello!
Hello.
Welcome to the Trendy Devstream 72.
I
think
was
it's
just about
72.
to ask, what's the number?
And I didn't actually just make that up. Like, I actually think it's 72. But I
Nice.
just usually have it at the top of our little document dealie, but not today.
69 was not very long ago, and I
It was
remember
not.
that because you made jokes about
I
that.
made great jokes.
Great jokes.
They were
Just
very mature and timely and topical.
Lady Orc.
As usual. And Lady Orc jokes. So, hello and welcome. We're going to be talking about the upcoming patch that's coming next week to Dungeon Defenders 2. It's going to contain a lot of balance, a lot of kind of like rando things that we've done in response to feedback and
Tweaks
just
and
tweak,
polish.
tweaks and polish to make the Trials update really shine. So let's get started. So first thing we're going to go into is some new options for hero deck management. Oh yeah. So Eric's going to pull up a little something on our
You get
screen.
so excited over UI changes.
We do. I do. Is that a problem?
No.
I don't know. So first thing that Eric's showing off is now you can click other cards in your Rolodex. Huzzah! So you don't always have to click arrows to go through. You can actually just click heroes. And then in addition to the Rolodex clicking, that's kind of like a small thing to just kind of quickly go through your heroes. For the people that have a lot of heroes, we listened to some feedback about it was hard for people to find where their heroes are in the new Rolodex because it only showed 7 at a time. And so now we added a browse all button where it pulls up a lot more of your heroes. I think it's 18 on each page, and so you can just page through and find the heroes that you need quickly. The way it functions is you'll click on one of those heroes and it will go to that in your Rolodex, and then you can do your assigning and stuff like that. So it's really something we did to help you find the heroes that you're looking for quicker and then be able to assign them to your deck. Still the same stuff as the Rolodex. And
quality of life improvements for people who have a good bit of heroes, who interact with the Rolodex a lot, and then for our power users, people that have a lot of heroes, having that browse all is pretty handy.
Yep. And we wanted to keep the functionality of you're able to look at and swap gear while you're browsing the Rolodex. So that's why we did kind of you click it and it goes to that in the Rolodex. So then you can do whatever item management or stat inspection that you want to do while you're there.
Yeah, we generally like the way you interact with the rest of it. It's just improving just the interactions with the specific Rolodexes and hero selection that needed some love.
So that is, and then we also want to show off another, I think we have shard name sorting in the all bags now. Maybe. I'm getting fancy. Name sorting, yes! So I was like, I'm pretty sure this is in here. But now you can sort your shards by name from our all bags option. So maybe we want to add some more shard filter options soon in the future. But just for now, just kind of as to address some quick feedback and help you find them better.
We are working on some more filtering options,
Yeah.
but there will be more information on that in the future. This will be a nice addition for now.
Yeah. So we're just trying to do some nice snipey things like, hey, this will make it a little easier on you when it goes live. So then the next big section that we're going to go into, Eric's probably going to start playing, but this is definitely a heftier section. We're going to ask Dan here to tell us a little more about it, but we're going to move into some of the shard changes that we've done for this update. Do you want to tell us kind of about the first part of that and what we've done about shard drops?
Yes. So the original, vision behind what we wanted from shard packs is each difficulty that you're in has its own shard pack, and those shard packs have their own list of shards, and everything has kind of an even odds within them. What we ended up shipping was a little different. What we ended up shipping, we did this themed approach where there's the blah shard pack and the defense support shard pack and whatnot. And when you go through difficulties, you have the chance to earn one of 3 shard packs from it, and then from that you get a lot. But that was causing problems because there was a lot of crossover, unfortunately. You finally progressed to Chaos 3 and you're excited to get Chaos 3 shards, but because of the way the old system worked, you were still just getting stuff that you saw before, which wasn't necessarily like bad shards, but you had the perception of, oh, I'm in Chaos 3, why am I still getting Chaos 1 shards? So that was a problem we wanted to fix also. And the odds were really not in your favor at all, because of the way it was set up. You were getting like a sub 1% chance to get a specific shard that you wanted, and that was kind of not what we wanted. So in this update, we kind of changed that around a lot. Instead of there being, or instead of theming shard packs around basically like support and whatnot and spreading that up, we went back to the old idea of Chaos 1 has the Chaos 1 shard pack, Chaos 2 has the Chaos 2 shard pack, Chaos 3 has Chaos 3 shard pack, and there is no crossover between them. So if you want, so let's say the defense range shard will drop at Chaos X, you'll only be able to earn it through Chaos X. Way to go, Eric. Those waterfalls, they can get you. They can actually push you a little bit down if you jump through them. That's a bit of a thing.
Pro tip.
Pro tip, don't jump through the waterfalls. But anyway, so basically the odds are now a lot better. So gone are the sub 1%. Now you get like a 4, 5, maybe even higher percent chances for certain things along the way. Everything, the distribution is still even for now. We're not changing that. We never want to, or something that we're thinking about, never doing is telling you like, oh, this is a 0.1% drop and this is like a 10% drop, and kind of tweak the value that way. So that's kind of the approach we're taking with it now. That will be available in this patch, and we'll see how you guys interact with it. And obviously, if it's not there yet, or if there are potential issues with it, we'll adjust it in the future.
And then another thing we're trying to get into the patch is the addition of our win streak bonus. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, win streak bonus was something we wanted to do for the Trials update, but Trials just had so much in it, we didn't really get around to it. As you guys play the Trials map, you see that it kind of picks a map for you, and you have to take it on. There's no real impetus or incentive for you to like stick with it, and we see that a lot, specifically in higher chaoses where players don't necessarily want the map that they get and they try to re-roll it. So we always wanted to add like a very powerful win streak bonus, and with this, it'll be our first kind of stab at it. Should we talk about what we envisioned the grand thing being and then what it is now, or should we just talk about what it is now? What would you prefer?
Let's just talk about what it is now.
What it is now. So basically right now, after a set number of wins, you'll get, if you keep winning, you'll basically gain an extra pack for that difficulty. So let's say you're playing Chaos 1. After 3 wins, you will be rewarded with an extra Chaos 1 shard pack for every win after that, and things along those lines. In the future, obviously, there will be more incentive and more cool things attached to it, which we're not going to necessarily talk about just yet, but there's some cooler things to come. But for now, after 3 wins, every win after that will give you a Chaos pack.
And then what are we doing about the shard drops themselves? Besides the pack changes, how are the drops changing?
What do you mean?
How are the drops changing? I mean, I could answer it. I was just trying to pull it out of your ear.
What do you mean by the drops changing? Maybe you want to handle it?
So I'll handle it. So before we had anywhere between like 1 and 3 shards dropping, and they could be like a standard and a chaos. So we changed that a little bit now. It is 100% guaranteed your current chaos level shard, and then 100% guaranteed to be one of the previous difficulty shards. So if you're playing on Chaos 1, that's going to be a guaranteed standard pack from the campaign because the only previous difficulty is campaign.
Right.
But like if you're on Chaos 2, then it's a chance for either the campaign or a Chaos 1 shard to drop, and so on and so forth. So it's 100% chance to get the one you're at, and then an extra one of a previous difficulty, and then the win streak bonus will be an additional one
on top
of where you're at. So with win streak bonus, you'll be getting 2 of your current chaos shards plus a previous shard.
I have too much Poland in my brain. I forgot to mention that. But when we were approaching the shard pack, like the revamp of how we wanted people to interact with shards, we made like a short list of like intuitive rules for how you earn shards, and that was basically, if you're in a difficulty, you're gonna get that. There's no crossover between packs for the time being. So like Chaos 1 has the Chaos 1 shards, Chaos 2 has the Chaos 2 shards. You'll never see a Chaos 1 shard in Chaos 2 or Chaos 2 in Chaos 3. And if you win a Chaos map, Trials Chaos tier difficulty, you're guaranteed one, and then you have chances at lesser ones going forward. So those are the things that we're doing.
So yeah, and again, just to say about the win streak bonus, I'm 90% sure that'll be in with this patch, but we've been having some like last minute difficulties with it, just some weird edge cases and stuff that we're trying to fix today.
Yeah.
And so if worst case scenario, win streak bonus has to come at a
just know that
subsequent patch, but it's definitely coming. Right, it's coming. And we're trying to get it in this patch.
And like I said, it's just like phase 1 of what the win streak bonus will actually be. We actually had a more elaborate version in, but like Elandria was saying, we were running into a lot of issues with it, and so we kind of dialed it back a little bit, and we're trying to get the current version in and functional.
Yep. And then another thing we are doing is we're adding the addition of getting shard packs. You want to talk about that a little bit?
The acquisition.
Of shard packs.
The nice old lady. So the Grandmaster.
I guess we could show that off, but Eric's like mid-level.
He's mid-level.
I didn't really plan that one effectively. So yeah.
I guess you could quit and maybe. I mean, we'll talk about it. He'll transition to the tavern and we'll kind of showcase it. But the Grandmaster hasn't really had a good job since we kind of got rid of skill spheres. She's kind of been unemployed, kind of standing around, and we always said that we had something planned for her. And now she's basically going to sell you shard packs. The way it'll work, in the tavern, there's going to be 2 vendors, right? Mm-hmm. There's going to be the Grandmaster, and there's going to be one of the guards just standing next to her. And you'll be able to go up to them and buy like shard packs, like a Chaos 1 shard pack, Chaos 2 shard pack, Chaos 3 shard pack, for gems or defender medals. That's currently what we have in. The way we plan to do this, let's say right now we're on Chaos 5, you'll be able to earn or you'll be able to buy shard packs for everything except for Chaos 5. In the future, when we launch like additional Chaoses, 6 and 7, you'll be able to buy 5, but 6 and 7 won't be available. When we release like 8 and 9, you'll be able to buy up to 7, 8 and 9 won't be available. So yeah, that's currently another means for you to, if you have extra defender medals laying around, if you have extra gems that you want to get rid of, you'll be able to spend to earn shard packs that way.
The way I always thought about it was like, you remember like Valor points from like World of Warcraft, when you would go in and you'd be able to, with like Valor, you'd be able to buy like semi-okay gear for like the current thing, but then as they like bumped it up to the next, tier of content, and they also like kind of roll up what Valor points can get you. And that's kind of like, that's sort of, at least that was my interpretation of what we're trying to do with the shard packs, where you can spend currency to get some shard packs for the previous content to help you go into the latest and greatest, but you won't be able to just buy the top tier of shard packs.
Yeah, with so many of these and with so many chaos levels and like things coming online, especially in the future of Dungeon Defenders 2, when we get into like Chaos 10, 11 and so forth, we need some capacity or some way to allow players to catch up. Yeah. And this is one of the systems that we had proposed. You have extra defender medals go or extra gems go and dump them into that.
So we should probably get into the meat of the Devstream.
The meaty Devstream.
We did a hefty amount of balance changes and adjustments and stat changes and like just all of the above. It's kind of like hard to pick where to even start. But so, do you want to get us started? Let's start off with like the first thing, and that's probably defense speed. And do you want to tell us a little bit more about what's changing there?
So before I talk about that, I'm going to just mention like why we're even doing balance. We just did balance, right? So Trials had a significant, probably the biggest balance update that we've seen in Dungeon Defenders 2's history. But because it was obviously so vast and so massive and overarching, it was probably our biggest patch to date. There were some issues left that we know about that we need to fix, and honestly some issues that we didn't really know about that we needed to fix. And so Brett kind of spearheaded this initiative to kind of get a bunch of these things fixed. And the main topics that we kind of hit were looking at defense speed, looking at crit damage and things along those lines, and try to make those a little bit better. This is like any balance pass. We always say this is never intended as a final balance pass. These are just more and more tweaks that we're doing to our existing system, and we'll continue to do more in the future. So to start off with speed, we kind of rewrote the formula for how defense speed works. The problem with it was people were kind of hitting the cap a little bit too early. On some defenses, other defenses, they were not even approaching the cap. It was very uneven that way. It was not really very fair in terms of, you'd get basically a relic and try to put it in on a defense, get like substantial gains from it, put it on a different defense, get marginal gains from it. Even though it was the same thing, it was very confusing. So we want to kind of restructure that so that their growth is relatively similar, but they're kind of from A to B might differ. So that was kind of what we were going towards. And there'll be a lot more details on how we actually fix all this within the blog post and the patch notes that we released for this. So yeah, defense speed got a significant update. You will notice, and obviously, because this was originally, to be honest, intended as, hey, there's a problem with defense speed, let's fix defense speed. But then once we fixed defense speed, we noticed, obviously certain towers either became way more powerful than they were originally, or way weaker than they were, and we didn't want to just leave it in that state. So we went and adjusted damage values across towers again, tweaked certain things like that. So it kind of spiderwebbed into this. Oh, we're fixing defense speed, but really we're kind of going to touch everything around that as well.
Yeah, defense power on a lot of the towers really got a big boost to make up for maybe the speed that they had lost.
Yeah, because some defenses, they don't scale as highly as they used to with speed, and so we have to compensate that with power so that you don't really feel much of a difference. And sometimes the inverse is true for stuff that wasn't really scaling very well, and suddenly scales really a lot better and things along those lines. So
rolling right into the next stats that we also went in and went crazy about, defense crit chance and damage.
Crit chance and crit damage. Crit chance and crit damage have been in a bit of a trouble spot. We have this vision for what we want crit and crit damage to be. We just haven't hit there yet. We did good strides towards it in the trials update, but it also wasn't there yet. We had some bugs with the system, to be honest with you. There were some issues with the cap, players exceeding the cap on either certain heroes or certain defenses. There were like some weird math roll number issues where you would have, I don't remember the combination, it was like Aspire with nothing equipped here, and like the ability value of this much was causing like 32 million damage crits all the time. So there were
working as intended is what you're saying.
There were some issues like that. There were more like specific things. We get to the nitty gritty of it, like I'm not entirely sure if we managed to fix this yet, but I know that we were working on it. If we didn't fix it for this update, it'll be for a future one. But like the Poison Dart Tower, we removed the ability for those little baby darts to deal damage. They used to deal like marginal, like maybe 32 damage is the highest you'd ever see it. So they no longer deal damage, but because of the way the system works, each projectile hit actually calculates a crit chance, and then it ends up calculating a crit damage value on top of it. So we were getting insane. That tower was probably the best scaling tower with a crit damage because of it. So we needed to fix things like that. And obviously,
Eric's gonna die.
Eric died.
I got the bug where I got 3 seed rollers.
Oh, I got the bug. The usual excuse. The usual.
He got the bug.
Tisk tisk.
It's a bug of defeat. But now I can go to the tavern and show them the.
That's true.
But anyway, let's go back to, I guess we can keep talking about crit damage. Also, the one final thing that we wanted to fix with crit damage is it wasn't very useful early game. People were using it a lot like end game.
Yeah.
But early game, it was like, why am I even getting this? This is completely useless. Give me more power. Give me more power. So we wanted to tweak that around a little bit and make sure that becomes more utilized and becomes more viable.
What about the crit chance sometimes too?
Same thing. Similar issues with crit chance. To be honest, there weren't really the biggest issues with crit chance. Like I was saying, is people exceeding caps and things like that. Like I kind of already mentioned. And yeah, we can see on the screen here. This area now becomes all about buying shards. You can see the banner flags in the back kind of tell you who sells what. But if you talk to the Grandmaster, you'll be able to buy shard packs for gems. If you talk to the little soldier dude,
tired guard,
the same guard who's been doing mountains of paperwork, you can buy it for defender medals. Prices and stuff are in there as well, and and we'll obviously be expanding on this in the future. But yeah, that's how you'll be able to earn more shards if you want.
That's a 4 now. Yeah,
for the time being.
For the time being. So let's continue going, do you want to talk a little bit about defense upgrade tiers and some of the issues and kind of bugs and stuff we saw there?
Yeah. Defense upgrading also had a very minor pass in trials. Wasn't really other than is it functional? Are there issues? Great. can't really devote too much attention to that right now. Same story with like kind of crit damage. How it wasn't really viable. There were some towers that didn't really scale very well with upgrades, especially when it comes to like cheaper defenses or like more expensive defenses. Like the rate between them wasn't the best. We went back and made adjustments to how the damage values, what their numbers look like, to make sure that DPS per mana value kind of matches up and lines up better. You'll notice that cheaper towers will now be more efficient and basically things along those lines. So upgrading also should be better off. Look at that. He won. Magically. Cheater. Consecutive win bonus.
You're just trying to show that off.
Yep.
Should have won legit.
Do you want to play?
You baby.
I was going to walk out.
So let's continue talking about some more of the balance and adjustment stuff that we're doing. We also made a change to max targets and found some issues there as well.
So it was always intended for AoE towers to never hit more than like 8 to 10 targets. But some AoE towers were very cheeky and were like, nah man, I'm going to hit as many as I want. So we found those culprits and we fixed them. And now basically you will never have an AoE tower that can hit more than 8 to 10 targets. So that was kind of unified. Unified across the board. Yeah.
And we did that to try and make kind of like our balancing job a little bit easier, right? Like, it helps us kind of tweak numbers to know that.
Because if you think about it, if we're going to balance something and it can hit an infinite number of enemies.
Yeah, what's the problem?
We're not. It's going to deal a really, really low amount of damage. We'd rather say, oh, this is the practice. And to be honest, we never really look at like 8 to 10 that effectively. We always look at like, all right, practical use case is probably like 3 to 4. Max would be 8 to 10, and we kind of balance things around that like spectrum. Versus, the range is between like 1 to like 200. So especially when you can get auras across the map, covering the entire map. But yeah, that's what we've done.
We also found some issues with some of the bugs and balance issues with some of the shards that we had in the game. One example would be the Frosty Bind shard that was bugged to oblivion. So that's been fixed.
That's been fixed. A few other shards have been fixed too. Basically, Power of the Storm also was fixed, and Molten Brimstone. We added over 250 shards, so there will be some issues with some of them and balancing that we will tweak along the way. But yeah, this is like a first stab at, here are some big culprits, let's fix those out.
Power of the Storm was interesting because it was giving you crazy mana regen, which was like way more than intended for some of the base 4 heroes. But we also noticed that there were a lot of players that weren't satisfied with kind of the mana regen of the base 4.
So we upped that. Yeah.
So we upped the base mana regen. We reduced the power you get from the shard because it was like something crazy like 45 mana per second. And it was nuts and just insanely overpowered. So it's still good. We lowered it to it's like 5 or 6-ish. I can't remember the exact final number. But we increased the base mana regen of the base heroes too, so that like without the shard, you'll get better mana regen. With the shard, it'll still be significantly better than what you had, like way higher. But it's not at the point where you're just perpetually at max mana forever. So we're gonna move into maybe some little teasers for what's to come in the future before we get into Q&A.
We already kind of hinted at it, right?
Did we?
We talked about.
We hinted a little bit about it,
right? So
maybe.
So like you saw, like you might have figured out, the whole idea behind the chaos system and the trial system is to perpetually add more content in the future. So we have chaos, potentially higher chaoses coming with potentially more like enemies and challenges and things like that, and different shark packs that you can earn being added as well. So that's potentially coming in the future. What else? What else can we?
Well, with Chaos
Mm-hmm.
are going to be new enemies, right?
Yeah, new enemies, new challenges, new special mini boss type characters that you encounter.
We'll probably be talking about those a little more on a future dev stream.
Absolutely.
But we definitely, want to at least tell you guys that those are coming up in a patch that's going to happen pretty sooner rather than later. It's not going to take us, forever to add some more chaos.
I think Eric has the build that turns the Squire into a ranged.
He has the cheat build where
Yes,
he
the
just
ranged
becomes ranged.
Yes.
This is
It's-
ranged Squire.
What was it, Eric? It's a combination of the Betsy
Betsy's sword beam and
Betsy's
power
sword
beam.
beacon of the storm.
Beacon of the Storm, Betsy Sword Beam.
The
and
lightning
he basically-
projectile and the beam
And
projectile.
he becomes the most effective ranged character. You remember a time when the Squire's worst enemy was air, and look what happens.
And not anymore.
look at him drop.
Yeah, it's just
The Skyguard Tower was like,
it's not
no,
even
leave
right.
something for me. Nope.
It's okay, it tanked the kobold. It's fine.
We also have something that's coming out in a patch soon that the community's been asking for quite a long time. So I might have Eric pull a little something up. I don't know. It's just this
God,
feature.
It's been so long.
It's been
People every Devstream are like, when is this coming on? And we're
just
like,
at least a year or 2 years of asking about it.
Mhm.
You
Right.
know,
Don't want to add it now.
just do it. Just do it. Just pull it up. So we're adding in a little feature that has been requested for a long, long time.
Barricades.
Barricades. Bearded barricades.
Bearded barricades.
It's just a bear barricade with a beard,
And beard
beard,
customization
the
system.
stun effects, and it's wonderful.
Oh,
Oh,
what is this?
yeah.
What is this?
So we are soon to be adding
Towers.
tower skins.
It was promised a while ago. We've been talking about it for years.
We only promised it like a month ago. What are you talking about?
But
Yeah.
But like
what-
we've been saying, we've had like bigger fish to fry, right? We wanted to get the game in a better spot, but now that, after trials, after all the stuff, and we have a good plan for the things we want to do, we can finally start looking at, fulfilling those promises. And this is first sneak peek.
the
at some
taste.
of the- a little
Little taste.
at the potential for tower skins.
But
But
we're finally doing it.
we are.
Woo! I know that's been like one of my requests, like long time requests for this.
And the barbarian, right?
Yeah, and Barbarian. Yeah, he's coming too.
He's coming out.
Yeah, that's just what's happening.
next patch. Right?
Yeah, next patch. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he'll just be
I
out.
forgot to. It's right here. Barbarian.
He has quad jump too. We put that. That's
And
in
air
our
dash.
notes. And air dash. Yeah. Air dash is quad jumps. I think he turns into an Apache.
Quad wheeled.
He turns into an Apache helicopter with his ultimate and shoots rockets.
The quad wheels grabs. You can equip weapons on his feet.
You didn't know?
What do you mean? I designed it. Of course I do.
What? Since
Quad
when?
wheeled.
No, I thought I designed it.
Oh, I guess.
What?
I guess we are the same person.
I think we just both threw our stuff in and it became just this
Probably
amazing.
designed him the exact same way.
We did.
Because there's only
You're
one
right.
barbarian.
Yeah.
There's only ever one.
We just wrote the
barbarian.
same things. All right. Well,
Can ever only be
I
one.
guess that's pretty sweet.
Success.
Success. We're just that good, I guess. No big deal. All right, so let's get right into our Q&A. So we're going to be answering a lot of questions from the forums, and then we'll probably start talking about some questions from the Twitch chat. So let's go in probably to the first question. Bigger bags. Will we ever get bigger bags?
Will we ever get bigger bags?
Maybe. I don't want to say no. Like, I don't want to say no that we'll never have, like, more or bigger bags, but, like, for now.
More likely, allowing you to buy more bags is
Yeah.
also definitely a thing. Bigger bags, I just don't know. It's I guess, a heavier request because it'll mean a heavier UI revamp, but potentially allowing you to buy more bags.
I mean, well, honestly, one of my personal requests is some sort of, like, stash. You know what I mean? Some bank thing. So that would probably be
That would be nice.
sooner than more bags.
Maybe.
It's pretty full right now.
It is pretty full. To the brim.
But yeah, we don't want to say never, but yeah, maybe eventually. Are there changes to sorting, organizing, and auto-collecting loot?
You just saw like some minor improvements to like filtering.
Yep.
In terms of sorting and auto collecting, there's something pretty important that we're adding. that we wanted to add. We tried to add it now, but we didn't really get around to it. And it is, if you have like your filter bags set up, if you're running around and picking up gear, it would apply the like filtering options to it. So if you have a bag that's like, oh, legendary whatever swords or whatnot that are for the squire, and you go press E and it's a legendary sword, it will go to a specific bag.
Yep.
That's something we're working on. So yeah, there are some improvements to that coming in future updates.
And then, will there be any changes to loot drops or the loot system?
Loot is something we're looking at next. Extensive improvements to loot will be happening soon. We're in the investigation phase now. We're trying to like figure
That's
out.
a deeper dive topic.
Yeah, that's a pretty big like we just did for shards.
Yeah.
And how things were like less than 1%, and how we changed that around in our rules, and then here we go. Here's new shard packs, and hopefully they'll work. We'll see. Same thing we're going to do to loot. How do we want people to interact with it? What's intuitive? What is intuitive? How do we fix it? But yeah.
Some of the range gambits, like the one for Ramster, aren't working correctly. Is this going to be fixed?
Yes.
It is.
It's already been fixed.
What?
Yeah. So the answer to that would be yes. Josh is no.
Yeah, this patch has changes for the range gambits.
That was Josh.
That was part of, from I Am Isom. It will be fixed in this patch, which is awesome. And also confirmation from Eric, because I guess he's right here too and knows about that. So yes. With the way Ascension is currently implemented, do you foresee any problems regarding scaling looking forward towards future Chaos tiers?
Yes. We have some things planned for how experience is going to scale. Unfortunately, Ascension didn't hit all our targets when we launched. The time it takes you to level up in the higher levels should have been significantly longer. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case. So absolutely, there will be some changes going forward to Ascension. But in terms of when we looked at all the things that had problems and we wanted to fix them, we just decided to prioritize things a little bit differently, focusing more on shards and loot, and then potentially looking at Ascension. But yeah, there will be some fixes to Ascension soon.
So, moving right along, is there some sort of invisible ceiling with the current gear gating system? It seems you wear completely maxed Chaos 5 with 60 upgrades, weapon, armor, and relics. Legendary drops seem to disappear. I know my experience is just a small sample of total matches completed. However, I went a 54-hour stretch over 3 days, grinding Chaos 5 trials, and only had 2 legendary drops over the entire period. I reduced my gear down to 30 and 45 upgrade variety and instantly started seeing legendary drops again.
So that's rather peculiar. There's nothing that gates tier. There is no ceiling for tier. There is a ceiling for stats, but that's to be expected, right? If you have the perfect roll, perfectly upgraded, you'll never see a number higher than it. But for tier, absolutely not. There's no invisible ceiling for that. That just sounds like
Bad luck.
a bad luck run. But I hate saying that because usually, of all the times I've read something like this and then investigated, it turns out there was a potential issue 50% of the time. So it might be something worth looking into, but it unfortunately sounds like either you're having really bad luck or something might be wrong, but there's absolutely nothing that gates tier.
Wait, you didn't secretly put something in like that?
No. Did you?
Maybe.
Okay.
No, I didn't. Are there plans to better introduce / explain to newer players the progression mechanics currently into the game? How to get better gear, use shards, get into higher tiers, etc.? If yes, how would this look like? If no, why not?
Yes. We do want to do something like that, especially for new players, especially as we're ramping up for our 1.0 launch, out of early access launch, whatever that's going to look like.
Yep.
How would that look like? We're not really sure, but it would potentially help you understand the different.
Well, we've thought about it a bit. There's some ideas being thrown around.
Yeah.
We just haven't finalized.
We
anything
don't
yet.
really know which one we're going to go with yet.
Yep. Since fissures have an aura-based damage dealing system, 8 targets within a zone take periodic damage, why can the fissure nodes be stacked next to each other while flame auras have a zone around the flag where no other flame aura can be placed?
That's more an issue with the fissure than with the flame aura, if that makes sense. With auras in general, or anything that does aura type damage, we usually limit the overlap to be, something more like a Venn diagram rather than literally stacking them up. So that's something we're going to have to fix with the Fisher rather than a problem with Flame Whirl, if that makes sense.
When will we be able to play as the Gunwitch and not have to worry about missing drops? Right now, when you play as a Gunwitch, you miss out on relics.
That's something we should potentially fix before the Barbarian comes out.
You don't want to fix it until after?
No.
I'm just kidding.
But yeah, that's something we definitely should look into because it is.
That'll probably be something that would be coming with the further loot changes that we're working on.
Yeah.
So.
This is unfortunately for the Gunwitch. She is our only DPS hero, so we don't really think about if we have an option of fixing a problem for 9 out of our 10 heroes or for 1 out of our 10 heroes, we kind of have to weigh that a little bit differently. But yeah, that's something we'll definitely look at in the loot revamp. Not revamp, we've just done that. Loot improvement.
Loot revamp 3.47. I don't even know.
Not another one.
Not another one. Are there plans to give heroes without double jump mechanic this mechanic too? This mechanic. For example, glide for Abyss Lord or short dash for Squire.
Well,
we're gonna add Apache mode
Apache
for Barbarian.
Confirmed.
Confirmed on stream.
We like messing around with movement profiles. It's something we suspected we would enjoy and people would like, and I don't know why we didn't do it for years, and then we finally did it. We do not want to have the same movement profile thing with everyone. Like everyone can double jump, everyone can bloopty bloop.
Bloopty bloop.
That's a good term.
It's a good one.
But we are potentially looking into more interesting movement mechanics for different heroes. We just want them not to feel. We don't want something that's special to suddenly become ordinary because everyone does the same thing. So,
yep. To level up a 20 upgrade level shard with gold currently requires doing 30 or so maps. Are there plans to either lower the cost of upgrading or increase the amount of gold we get?
Yes, there is a plan to increase the amount of gold you get.
We can talk about that.
So the design for the win streak bonus that was going to launch, with each win that you get in a trials map, you increase the gold amount that you're getting up to a certain cap. So let's say you played your first map. Yeah. You say win streak 1 plus X% gold. Then you won your second one. You said win streak 2 plus
more
2x gold or whatever, 2x% gold, 3x, and then it caps. And then as you're winning consecutively and getting that shard, that cap is fixed. So there are things we want to do to give you guys avenues to earn more gold. But like I said, Colin was saying a little bit earlier, we ran into some issues with win streak bonus that kind of forced us to scale it back a little bit. So that kind of ended up coming out of it, but it will make its way back to it eventually.
We also added something fun, just kind of on our, back-end systems. We're going to be able to do gold multiplier weekends and more weekend events, with gold being one of the examples. But we'll be able to do some fun events and things that we have planned for people to get some more gold.
We're also going to look. Yes, we are. We're also going to look at the sell value for shards and potentially up that, so that if you have duplicate shards or you earn duplicate shards, that's also going to contribute to your gold earning as well.
Give them a little more sell value than 10.
Yes.
No, 10's good, right? We're gonna
maybe 11.
Keep that. 12. Let's be generous. Generous with 12.
No, 11, but every 2 will sell for
12.
11.
Will there ever be any way to stack shards?
No. I never want to say a hard no, but this has come up multiple times and we've said no to it. Mostly because of the following reason. You have a shard. Shards can be upgraded. They have different upgrade levels. We don't really... if we do that, then shards that have different upgrade levels have to stack with each other.
There's more added functionality that we have to do in order to make that possible.
Right.
With the various upgrade levels and stuff, and being able to sort through those.
And that.
So it takes more time.
The amount of work that we would need to put into that right now is not really a high return for us. So we're gonna put that effort elsewhere for the time being. So short term, no. Long term.
So not no forever.
Yeah.
Maybe later,
yeah.
But. We'd like to maybe eventually, but there's some added functionality that we have to work on to get that to be real.
Don't expect to see something like this anytime soon.
Yep.
Unfortunately.
Will we get more shard sorting options in the future? Well, we Kind of answered that earlier.
You already saw.
So
the
there's
naming.
already one added thing for now,
And-
and then
like,
there's more coming.
There's more coming. Like we said, there's more improvements to the sorting and stuff
Yep.
in the future.
You mentioned displaying a piece of loot's max potential stats on the tooltip in one of your blogs. Is that happening? If so, when will we get it?
Yes, it's happening. When? Soon.
No, it's not happening anymore. I just deleted it. It's gone.
Colin killing the
It's gone.
everythings. But no, yeah, it's
Okay.
actually happening. When will we get it? Soon.
Soon, TM.
Soon,
Yeah,
Jim.
we're
It's
yeah
it's gonna be a bit. We'll see.
working on it.
Working on it. Sooner than the shard one. It's not like the.
That's true.
Yeah, it's not the same problem as the shard stack.
You mentioned displaying a piece of... I just said that. What plans do you have for making unwanted shards more useful?
Like I was mentioning, just increasing their gold value is going to potentially help because once you get duplicates, you can potentially do that. We have some other ideas as well. I don't really want to talk about them because they're very like infant stage, and we're not even sure if we want that for Dungeon Defenders.
Baby
2.
stage.
Yeah, baby stage. But we have some things planned. For the time being, short term, you will in a future patch see that the sell price for duplicate shards has gone up.
After the feedback about map rotation, will you rotate the pool on every chaos tier, and how often?
That is something we really want to do. Like we mentioned, honestly, when we first came up with the idea, it would be great if we can support that. Kind of have a system that's automatically doing it rather than right now. If you want to rotate the maps, it's going to involve a patch of some kind that's horribly inefficient. So
There's also more things we want to update and add back in, like in terms of endgame player options, so it's not just Trials Forever.
it's not just trials.
So-
we have plans for like
Right.
what would Onslaught V2 look like, what would incursions in the future look like, things like that.
Future incursions.
Few incursions.
I did it. It's happening. Any plans to buff tower-specific shards like Encroaching Flame and a few others? Right now, they're far weaker than even base campaign shards like Destruction. Would you not consider defense-specific shards to be mandatory, or your ultimate goal for that defense, as in using Encroaching Flame for flame auras?
Like I was saying with the shards, we added literally 200 of them in one milestone, 250 or something of them in one milestone. So they're not there yet. And like you saw, like we mentioned already, we're already doing some balance updates for some that are too weak and too strong and adjusting things accordingly. So that specific shard, I don't know when we will get to it. I can potentially prioritize it a little bit higher, but there will be a lot of shard tweaks going forward.
Mm-hmm. You spoke about giving players in multiplayer matches more rewards for the higher difficulty. Is the current higher difficulty intended? What are your ideas for rewards? Probably talking about the scaling.
Scaling. The current is intended. I think I mentioned this on the last stream, but like I mentioned, heroes bring such a big DPS boost that we had to scale up enemy health. Otherwise, it would be the opposite problem, and we'd rather it be challenging than not. And so, but in the future, we do want to add some sort of system that, on top of making it harder, will also improve the reward that you're getting.
Mm-hmm.
We just, like I said, just haven't gotten around to it yet.
Defense speed is listed in the stats that affect Frosties. What exactly does it do for them?
It does nothing. Actually, no, it does something, but it's like a very insignificant thing that you guys probably don't really notice. It affects the time between, like, beam refires, if that makes sense.
It's like the recharge rate almost.
Yeah, but it doesn't. It's not really a very applicable thing. We didn't really remove it because it kind of technically does something on that list, but it doesn't. It's technically nothing.
So it's OP was what you're saying.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
gotta put all your points into that.
When will Chaos Tier 1 through 5 Terraria weapons be available?
Soon. We have a plan.
Tomorrow?
We're executing it. But soon. All these incursion weapons. We have plans for incursions and their incursion weapons and stuff, and bloop, including Terraria. I felt awful. I was pretty, honestly, furious that, we added these Terraria weapons, and then we removed them.
And then we removed them. It's almost like you worked on them for a while or something.
Yeah, but anyway, definitely, believe me, no one wants them added back and viable more so than me. But we do have a plan for that, and that's happening sooner rather than later.
Are there plans to change how certain Chaos enemies work, or are you only considering stat changes?
For the most part, stat changes, we consider those first, then we consider functionality. We don't really plan on changing functionality much. One thing we are planning to change functionality for is multiple Dark Assassins infinitely booting you. That might be something we look at. But otherwise, no.
Like the infinitely like binding you.
Infinite bindings.
Yeah. Is there a specific reason the stats on gear are visually rounded, but the exact value is used behind the scenes, or is it just a side effect of infinite progression? I think they're talking about Ascension.
Probably a side effect of infinite progression, to be perfectly honest with you. We never really want to show unclean numbers, if that makes sense, so we try to round up when we can, as best we can, just for easier presentation, but obviously, effectively in-game, you're getting a different value, so your numbers might be a little bit off.
Are there any plans to add a confirmation button when assigning Ascension points, or the ability to undo as you're investing points?
That would be a good idea. But like I said, now we've talked about these about this concept of low hanging fruit for a while. This would definitely be one of those mid tier, not necessarily super low because people
like a commit changes button or something.
Yeah. But it's not necessarily something that's on the highest of the priorities list. But it is something, especially if we take a look at when we look at the Ascension scaling and stuff like that, we can potentially sneak that in.
Mm-hmm. Will range ever affect trap trigger radius? Even if it has to be say about a 1-to-20 ratio or something.
We don't really like traps affecting trigger radius.
We don't really like traps. Blacksmith 2017.
You did it. We don't really like traps affecting trigger radius that much, or the trigger radii as it's said by said person, because it kind of doesn't really make a lot of sense and can lead to a less effective use. And we do like the fact that you have to be clever with your craft placement. So generally, it's not something we try to mess with.
Will we be able to see Trials games on the game browser in the future?
Maybe.
Yes.
Maybe.
The answer is yes.
Maybe.
Why are you maybe?
Because I'm being the facetious one this time.
No. That's my job.
Damn it. All right. So yeah, definitely you'll be able to see that in the future.
Yeah.
Maybe.
When is the not sure yet? It should be coming really soon, but that's definitely something we want to do with the Trials
There are
games.
updates coming to the matchmaking, like UI.
Oh God, there's so much matchmaking changes coming. Oh, so many. There's a need for party leader tools. Public play right now is a pretty bad place. No loot/ascension restrictions, very tedious and impractical kick mechanic, etc. Do you have any plans to address this?
Yes, absolutely.
All the plans.
Absolutely, we know
All of
that
them.
party stuff. Dungeons & Dragons 2 is great playing with your friends, not so great playing in pugs, and that is something we definitely want to address in the future, hopefully before we go full release, but we'll see.
Yep. Are there any plans to prompt you when attempting to sell gear with shards/shards inside, or when selling such a piece of the shard is automatically unequipped?
We had a prompt in there that was, hey, you're about to pull a Josh Isom, please reconsider. For those of you that don't know, Josh Isom was playing with Colin and had accidentally sold a piece of gear with one of the shards, and we never let it go.
It's fully upgraded shards, and he had like 2 of them,
Yep.
and he just sold it.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh no. And I was like, noob,
So-
baby.
It's the clinical term, or the term we use in Trendy is you pulled a Josh Isom when you did that. But yeah.
Didn't we have a pop-up for it?
There is the same pop-up. It's like, hey, you're about to sell something valuable. It doesn't tell you why it's valuable. So you might be like, yeah, I know it's a tier 6. Bruh, I know my legendaries. But you're like, no! Oh, what should I... But definitely adding a potentially other one will help the Josh Isoms of the world.
Any plans to allow us to increase the range of Boost Aura as Ascension ability?
Maybe. We'll have to look at that. We'll have to look at that.
And what bugs are you guys working on to fix ASAP? I mean, crash bugs?
Crash bugs.
Anything that's crashing the game
anything
and
that
or
crashes
servers.
the server is like number 1 always. Then anything that crashes the client is like number 2 always, and then everything else goes from there.
Well, there's some weird like matchmaking issues and like loading in and out of games and stuff that's been going on that we've been looking into a lot, and those are pretty high priority for us for fixing. So a lot of like the connection stuff and weird disconnects and crashes, those are really our priority for bug fixes, honestly. And then design goes through to fix
like
design related bugs like we've been talking about, balance bugs,
something that's creating for 3
right,
billion,
3
something.
bajillion. Like do a lot of
A
those.
projectile deals no damage that gets fired like 6 per second. Each one can crit, things like that.
So let's start taking some questions from the chat.
From the peeps.
Yeah.
What we got?
Yui said, so what exactly is the difference between more inventory and a bank?
What's the difference between more inventory and a bank?
Well, you think about inventory as what's on your character. Think about bank is what exists in the tavern.
It'd also just be different profile setup for us too. So
Right.
it'd be just a different
Because
thing.
we don't really need to load with every single map transition your bulk of everything you've ever owned. It will only need to do that in certain times,
Right.
things like that.
Technically, the stash would be more easier. That would be the difference than just expanding the inventory banks.
See.
Copperhead, or Copper 007 Head said, will we have a primary/secondary profile button that will allow change of gear relics shards for heroes?
Maybe like a loadout feature.
Loadout feature?
Loadout feature would be cool potentially in the future though. For
Yeah.
now, just switch and swatch.
Mr. Draco 89 said, any thoughts about adding lower chaos shards to a higher chaos with increased strength?
We did think about that, and that might be something we do in the far future. Right now, we still have shards. We didn't run out of shards yet.
We still have ones that are gonna be added in.
Yeah. We're good up until Chaos 9.5, and then we'll see about what more shards will look like.
Any chance of getting a DPS counter at the end of the waves from Siphon 716?
We do miss as ugly and broken as it was. We do miss the summary screen breakdown that we used to have. So there is something that we'd like to, or there are some things we'd like to do for that, but I'm not sure when.
There's some changes that we're going to be doing to the summer, like the end of game experience and summary screen that we'd like to kind of gussy up a little bit before we push out our early access. So that's definitely something we're looking into, is making that a little more attractive, a little more informational.
See.
Yeah.
The 100 Acre Wood says, any chance of getting specific weapons from Incursion similar to DD1, and with that higher difficulty, better drops?
Yes, you'll find out about that pretty soon.
Not soon enough.
True.
And Void Q says, can I just have a huge pile of loot in my tavern where I'd never find what I'm looking for? #hoarder.
Yes.
Yes.
We'll just give you a huge pile of loot that you'll never be able to sort through.
Just contact Danny or I am Isom now.
Yeah, they'll just spawn it for
they'll just
you
take
and
care
just
of it.
just giant pile.
Anyone that wants loot,
Yeah.
honestly, just
Send them a message.
Just send them an email.
Just send them an email, a message on Discord, and on the forums. Private message them. Just be like, yo, I want the pile of loot.
Please
They'll
spec-
give it to you.
Please specify the tier, the weapon type, and the stat numbers
Yeah.
that you want.
Yeah. And the shards that you want. We'll give those for free too. Yeah.
And then KR Sand 78 says, will you make the LFG system relevant again? I really miss the feature of browsing games to join, but that only applies to practice maps.
Yeah, like we said, we do. That's been handled.
Yeah, that's some of the game browser stuff that we were just talking about. We're going to be bringing that in so you can browse people playing trials and stuff like that, like naming your matches and all the stuff we had before, and then maybe even some extra.
Mm-hmm.
Sweet. And that's all we got for now. I guess we're wrapping up a little bit early.
Look at
We
that.
did start earlier than we usually do. We usually start like 3:05-ish.
Is this like the first Devstream that we start
No.
decently and we end
No.
fairly decently?
I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm the best.
We always start on time, and we're always the best. So, thanks for joining us on the Devstream today. This patch will be coming out sometime next week. We're still trying to get that the win streak bonus that we were talking about before for extra shards into the build and get that out to you guys as part of kind of these larger changes that we've been talking about. Again, some of the high-level things, we're having some hero browse all, a lot of shard drop and shard table changes, tons of balance is coming in the patch. So definitely a lot to look for in kind of enhancing your Trials experience. So look forward to that next week, and we'll have another stream. Next Friday is going to be a Trendy Friday fun stream, so we can respond to any additional questions you guys might have after trying out the patch or concerns or stuff like that. Again, we're always reading the forums, even if we don't respond. We're still reading them, and we're still parsing, feedback and going through it. The survey that everyone just filled out helped a ton. We went through a ton, several of us went through the survey responses. Josh Isom was like a machine and went through as many of the written responses as he could. I parsed through usually most of the voting, the number voting, and kind of how satisfied were people with the various things.
Yeah, and I got the summary from Isom and the survey results, and
Yeah.
we were looking over that. And that's what, honestly, all this stuff, forum stuff, the survey results is what fuels our decisions into
Yep.
what's intuitive, how can we improve this. So when you see surveys, fill them out.
Yep.
Have issues, post them on the forums, ask questions, email ISM when you want loot, all those
Yeah.
things. And we'll take it from there.
And Danny.
And then,
Danny.
yeah, absolutely.
Definitely. But thanks for tuning in today, guys. We'll be back maybe in 2 weeks with another dev stream. We'll see. If not, we'll keep doing Trendy Friday Funds every Friday to keep you up to date with kind of what we're thinking and what we're working on. So thanks for tuning in, and we will see you later.